The stock market just bought a first-class ticket to Pump City. Now I know you're probably sitting there thinking to yourself, how in the world did the bull camp afford such expensive air travel? Well, over the weekend there were a lot of interesting developments, but in reality it boils down to two major things. Number one, it was literally just announced that the United States and China reached some sort of trade deal, and number two, it was also announced that there's some sort of potential ceasefire going on between Russia and Ukraine. So obviously in this video, I'll be breaking that all down, and I also want to call out some major things that you should be paying attention to in the upcoming trading week. But of course, if you enjoy these types of market breakdowns, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in a comment below if you're watching this before market open on Monday. With all that being said, let's rock. When the world's largest casino officially closed on Friday, May the 9th, here was the headline. Dow drops more than 100 points Friday as investors await the US-China trade talks. And in reality, we didn't have to hold our breath that long because a little bit later, we got some pretty important updates. So first, it came from the Treasury Secretary. Bessent says US-China trade talks were productive, but doesn't announce deal. Treasury Secretary said substantial progress had been made with deals to come on Monday. And then right after that, we got an official update from the White House. US announces China trade deal in Geneva. And then from the Treasury Secretary himself, I'm happy to report that we made substantial progress between the United States and China in very important trade talks. We will be giving details tomorrow, obviously Monday, but I can tell you that the talks were productive. And I spoke with President Trump, as did Ambassador Greer last night, and he is fully informed of what is going on. So there will be a complete briefing tomorrow morning. Once again, depending on when you're watching this, I want you to know that tomorrow morning is in fact Monday morning. And then right after that, we heard from the US Trade Rep Greer. This was, as the secretary pointed out, a very constructive 2 days. It's important to understand how quickly we were able to come to an agreement, which reflects that perhaps the differences were not so large as maybe thought. So as of this moment, as of the point that I'm filming this video, we don't really have the details of what this trade deal is, and obviously we are looking for more information coming Monday morning, May the 12th, so obviously be prepared for that. But as of right now, the markets are really liking what they're hearing. But before I get into the details of what's going on in the market right now, I want to let you know some of the other news that is playing out over the weekend. So the Commerce Secretary Lutnick says 10% baseline tariff will stick around for the foreseeable future. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick's comments on Sunday echoed President Donald Trump's comments from days prior. Lutnick rejected the idea that consumers would take on increased costs from the tariffs, saying instead that businesses and the countries will pay. Now, obviously, that's a very contentious topic, so let me know your thoughts and opinions in a comment below, but really, this isn't anything too new. It's just being very well established that the best case scenario, the minimum deal that other countries are going to get, is still going to come in at 10%. Now, outside of the world of the tariffs, we did get an important update related to what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. According to President Zelensky, I will meet with Putin in Turkey this Thursday. Unfortunately, right around the same time that was announced, we heard from Trump on the same subject, Trump starting to doubt that Ukraine will make a deal with Putin. Now, why it might happen, why it might not happen, has to do with the ceasefire. Ukraine insists truce must come before Putin's proposed peace talks. Zelensky welcomed Russia's consideration of ending the war, but said that talks can't take place before a ceasefire. Now, I'm obviously no military strategist, but for whatever reason, Russia doesn't seem to want to do it, and Trump is kind of pushing Ukraine and really Zelensky to talk even without the ceasefire. Trump pushes Ukraine toward Russia talks without a ceasefire. So in a nutshell, those are the two major things playing out over this weekend. And of course, they're pretty opinionated. You might think that they're good. You might think that they're bad. You might think that the truth is somewhere in the middle. But what I can tell you is the market is very much liking it. According to the weekend US Tech 100, basically a weird way to measure the NASDAQ over the weekend when the NASDAQ is actually officially closed, you can see that we are currently looking at a potential gap up in excess of 1%. Now, obviously, things will become much more official when the futures market opens up at 6 p.m. Eastern tonight. In fact, by the time you're watching this video, you could probably already see what's going on with futures. And if I had to guess, things are going to be very, very green. Well, at least at minimum, far more green than they were when I left you guys on Friday. Here's a look at the heat map of the S&P 500. You can tell that Tesla was having a good day, but healthcare, communication services were both pretty red, and the rest of it was kind of a mixed bag situation. To leave you guys on Friday, the SPY was slightly slightly red, so were the Qs. In real time, as I'm filming this, Bitcoin is at 104,000. That's only $5,000 less than its all-time high, and really not the focus of this video, but a specialty shout out to Rumble. Had very good earnings and ripped about nice 20% on Friday. Anyway, I'll definitely be talking on that one throughout the week, but bringing it back to the overall market, this is the daily chart of the S&P 500. Right now, we're looking at potential gap up of 1%, might be a little more, might be a little less, but really what I'm interested in is, can the S&P 500 break this high from late March of this year? I'm talking a hair below 5,800. As the market closed, we were at 5,659-ish. So from there, we're looking at potentially 50, 75 points higher. That puts us in a potential fighting weight class of taking out this high. And obviously, that would change the entire technical structure of what in the world is going on. Because yes, we've been taking out some pretty important recent technical highs, but I think everyone is watching this because not only are we recapturing the EMA cloud and all these lines and whatever, you're going to see certain crossovers, people talking about golden crosses, death cross, all that stuff. But really, let's just look at this pretty evident high. And depending on how the market receives this news, well, we might be pushing that level. So I'd be watching 5,800, and then obviously past that, the next key technical, psychological, and open interest level of 5,900. So beyond the news of the United States and China trade deal, beyond the ceasefire, there are some major macroeconomic events. Shout out to public.com for sponsoring this portion of the video. Now, if you haven't already, I highly suggest that you check out Public because it's my favorite place to trade options. Public helps you make more money or lose less on all of your option trades with their options rebate. When you buy or sell a contract, you get a rebate, which means you actually pay less and in reality, make more than you would on other platforms. You can receive a rebate between 6 and 18 cents depending on your current and prior month's options trading volume. This means that Public is the most cost-effective way to trade options, which is why I love it, because it allows me to focus on actually trading rather than the headache that is trading fees. Now, beyond rebates, Public.com offers you an entire suite of tools. They have a comprehensive strategy builder to plan single or even multi-leg strategies. They have interactive P&L charts to help visualize the outcome of trades, and Public even has advanced charting with hundreds of built-in technical analysis indicators. With all these offerings, no commission fees, and no per contract fees, I'm confident that you'll love Public.com as much as I do. So don't forget to check them out by going to public.com/Matt Kohrs, or you can click on the link in the description of the video. Thanks again to Public for partnering with us, the Goonie community. So Monday, tomorrow, pay attention to what Trump and the White House has to say about the trade deal. Tuesday, we have an inflation report. That's going to be very important for the Fed and monetary policy. Wednesday, if you're an energy trader, the crude oil inventories. Then Thursday, we get retail sales and the producer price index and Powell is speaking, and we're going to have the meeting between Zelensky and Putin. And then on Friday, obviously, we're going to get the normal Friday morning consumer sentiment numbers. So pretty much every single day of this upcoming trading week, there's going to be some major macroeconomic updates and data drops. So please pay attention. And just because we seem to do this every single Sunday, I want to let you know about the seasonality of where we are. Roughly mid-May, it's kind of just choppy. So seasonally not really that bullish or bearish, which means don't think it's going to be choppy. It just means that historically the month of May, sometimes it's favored the bulls, sometimes it's favored the bears, and sometimes it's favored people who just don't pay attention to the market whatsoever. On more of a specific, like really getting into the nitty gritty of the data, remember this is 100% free, always has been, always will be, mackohrs.locals.com. This is a free newsletter for all of you. I break down the previous week, let you know what to pay attention to in the upcoming trading week. I give you a look at all of the earnings, or you could just go to @eWhispers on Twitter. I highlight the ones that I think you're going to care about the most, all those major macroeconomic events. But then coming back to seasonality, I give you the past roughly 30 years, it's really 27 years, almost the past 3 decades worth of seasonal data. So you could see Monday, it was neutral. Past couple of years, it's gotten a bit more bearish. Looking at Tuesday, it's a bit more neutral, maybe leaning bullish. Same thing on Wednesday. Thursday, clearly a bit more bullish, and then leaning bullish on Friday. So none of these are like very evidently bullish days. None of these are very evidently bearish days. It just seems like throughout history, the month of May is a bit more choppy. Just neither camp, the bulls or the bears, are really dominating. But this time around, depending on how all that news breaks, and right now it does seem like this is the bulls' opportunity to fumble, this might be a lights out green week. So with all that being said, I would love to hear your thoughts in a comment below. That's what I have for you now. I'll catch you in the next one. I'll catch you in the live stream tomorrow morning, 9 to 11, and also in tomorrow's update video. But other than that, I hope you crushed it in the market. I appreciate all the good vibes. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.